We believe that everyone in the world is going to end up having a personal intelligence. Just as we all had a personal computer, the future of computing is intelligence.
Many of humanity's greatest heroes, from scientists to entrepreneurs, are people who were incredibly adept at using reason to solve problems. For all of human recorded history, we have guided technologies with our ideas and decisions. For better or worse, humans have been in control of the wheel. As Yuval Harari argues, this could, in theory at least, change with advanced AI assistance.
In 5 years, there'll be a technology that can make decisions independently and that can create new ideas independently. This is the first time in history we confronted something like this.
In this video, we'll explore what AI assistants are, how they are currently being used, and some policy implications. This is a current guide to AI assistants. In this paper by Google DeepMind researchers titled The Ethics of Advanced AI Assistants, they define advanced AI assistants as artificial agents with natural language interfaces, whose function is to plan and execute sequences of actions on behalf of a user, across one or more domains, in line with the user's expectations. So let's look at some potential applications of these currently theoretical advanced AI assistants. Number 1. A thought assistant for discovery and understanding. AI assistants can gather, summarize, and present information from many disparate sources in a fraction of the time it would take a human to do so. This could help you to complete simple tasks like working out which car to buy, to more difficult tasks like understanding a scientific theory. This leads into number 2, a creative assistant for generating ideas and content, which essentially means that they would be a glorified research assistant, performing analyses on other competitors in your market, for example, finding the 10 most relevant papers for your literature review, or sections of code for your software project. 3. A personal assistant for planning and action. I personally see this one as having the most novelty and interest among people initially, because tasks like booking in a meeting or a flight can take time. The biggest unanswered question in this, though, is working out how bots like this could engage with third parties in a safe and effective way. Would it have to identify itself as an AI assistant, or would it impersonate you? The only way I can see this being possible is if it could gather personal data from your files, calendar, emails, and conversation history, so that the agent can understand your preferences, so that it makes the right decisions.
I thought maybe I wrote something funny in some of them,
Yeah, there are some funny ones. I'd say there are about 86 that we should save. We can delete the rest.
AI assistants can, over time, better tailor their actions to the learnt preferences and goals of its user. And this is already to some degree a reality. Gemini Copilot, for example, already completes complex tasks for you, like pulling out 5 insights from your latest email, finding all your documents in your drive related to a specific project you're working on, or creating formulas on Google Sheets. Although these applications are nothing like the autonomous agents people are predicting, they are the start of what this paper claims could be a generative turn in how we access the internet to use mobile applications and websites. Activities like booking flights and hotels, making appointments, ordering taxis, transferring money, and arranging for groceries to be delivered, in theory could all be carried out by autonomous AI assistants, provided that the right API infrastructure is available and the agent has enough knowledge and context to actually execute the request. Here's Reid Hoffman, co-founder of Inflection, with a bit more context.
Well, I think the AI personal assistant for everything you do is, I think, upon us.
Sure.
It's part of the reason why, as you know, with Mustafa Suleiman, I launched a product last week called Pi with Inflection, which is a personal AI for your life. And I think that'll be true for every professional activity. And so I think processing information, like I think part of when you say, well, AI can be used for cyber attacks, well, AI can also be used for defense. It could be integrated in your mail system saying, hey, that looks like it, integrated with your phone saying, oh, this sounds like it's your child calling for money, but you should check on a phishing system. So the defense stuff is kind of also totally doable. It's one of the reasons why accelerating to a safer future is important. And so I think that'll be there for all of it. Now, will it be, I actually think we're quite some ways away from where you and I will send each of our AI personal assistants to do this podcast chat. I think we'll still be here. We might be looking at it where it says, hey, ask Tyler this question or ask Reed this question.
So that's where we might be heading, subject to many caveats. But what are some of the risks associated with AI assistance if this does become a reality? Let's look at Inflection's Pi, for example. At the moment, it has many of the familiar functions of ChatGPT, like natural language and the creation of vast amounts of text. But what makes Pi different is its attempts to seem as human and emotionally intelligent as possible. It has a human-like voice, it uses your name when it speaks to you, and as they say on Inflection's first press release, it's designed to be kind and supportive, curious and humble, and creative and fun.
Mentoring someone who doesn't respond well to criticism can be challenging, Finn. Here are a few tips you might find helpful.
It's also designed to learn from experiences and get better at knowing you from all your interactions. It's easy to see how applications like this could help people become marginally more productive by outsourcing tasks that tend to require a lot of time. But it's important to recognize that some people think creating AIs that attempt to mimic human emotional intelligence is a really bad idea. The late philosopher Daniel Dennett wrote a brilliant article called The Problem with Counterfeit People, which roughly argues that creating bots that imitate human capabilities are what he calls acts of social vandalism. What does he mean by this? Here's a clip from the great man himself.
That we, the tool users, are going to be responsible for the decisions that are made. And if you start thinking about an AI as being a responsible agent, you put consciousness aside and just say, well, it's an intelligent agent, but can we make it a responsible agent? I co-taught a seminar, a course on autonomous agents and AI a few years ago, and as an assignment to the students, I asked them not to make one of these, but simply to give the specs for an AI that could sign a contract. Not as a surrogate for some other human being, but in its own, that was legally, a child or a demented person can't sign a contract. They're not viewed as having the requirements of moral agency. And you ask yourself, what would an AI be that had the requirements for moral agency? And the point that they gradually all groped to was, it has to be vulnerable like us. It has to have skin in the game. One of my all-time heroes is Alan Turing. I'm right up there with Darwin. And Turing was a brilliant man. His famous Turing test, which I'm sure you all know about, has one unanticipated flaw. By setting up this litmus test for intelligence as an opportunity for the computer to deceive a human judge about its humanity, it put a premium on deception, a premium on seeming human that is still being followed in the industry. And everything from Siri on down and up, they have these Disneyfied humanoid interfaces, and those are pernicious. And rather than fostering that by having these oh so cute and friendly interfaces, it should be like the pharmaceutical companies. They should have to remind every user of all the known glitches and incomprehensions in the areas that the system was absolutely clueless about.
This seems on the surface like a big problem, but is it really as big a concern as some are making it out to be? A recent article by the Harvard Kennedy School argues that generative AI misinformation claims are massively overblown. They argue that the internet, Google, and social media have all suffered a similar moral panic. That people tend to overestimate how gullible or easily manipulated other people are compared to themselves, commonly known as the third-person effect. Maybe this is the case with AI assistants too. Do we have an inbuilt skepticism that makes us wary of agent manipulation, the same way that we are cautious of fake news. On the policy front, the EU AI Act has made AI systems that intend to cognitively manipulate an unacceptable risk, effectively meaning they're banned. But general purpose chatbots are currently deemed as relatively low risk. Presumably, this needs to be assessed on a case-by-case basis, but will the EU's technology-wide risk-based approach be able to deal with the nuances? Let's wait and see. This has been Knowledge Brief. Thanks for watching.